Hey everybody, the Brit Canuck here. Well, the release date for Yellowknack is fast approaching and it's time to do another tier list. Thank you so much for the commentary and the interaction engagement I had on the first one I did when I was looking at the classes. This time we are looking at starting cities. Which starting city is the best? Now, as ever, this is purely my own opinion based on my own knowledge and my own experience, and some of the things I'm going to be looking at is even things like the navigation of the zone, the layout, the aesthetics, the starting level paths, so like the newbie yard, the newbie area, and just the overall kind of design and how much I enjoy playing there. So I made another template, so let's dive right into it straight away. So here's our template. We have all the starting cities down below right there. Remember, this is classic only, so no Cabalist or Crescent Reach. So with that, we're going to get stuck in right with Akon. Akon, home of the gnomes, located on the island of Phaedra, which they share with the Elves, the Wood, and the High Elves, as well as the Dwarfs. Akon, the city itself, is a disaster. I absolutely hate it. It's sprawling, it's awkward to navigate, there's a lot of tunnels like that that lead into random places, and it's just not a very friendly zone to kind of wander around. It's also got the clockwork kind of noises, lots of ticking going on, and that's fine. The other problem I have with this zone is if you start off as an evil gnome, as I did once when I was rushing to create my character on a server launch and I just skipped through deity, you end up in these tunnels, which is just the absolute worst. Now, there's a few cool design elements like the turbine and whatnot, but overall it's just not a city that I enjoy to start in, which is a shame because the gnomes are just awesome. A redeeming quality to Akon though is Steamfont Mountain. So this is the revamped Steamfont that came with the Dragons of Nurath expansion, I believe, and it's a really good starting kind of leveling area. It's probably the fastest one in the game on the TLP, to be honest, and you're going to be hitting up the kobolds and the other NPCs which are kind of in this area here. It will get you to level 1 to 4 very, very quickly. The other problem is it's just far away from everything else though. Like, you have to run through Lesser Fey to get to Greater Fey and Crushbone, so you're always going to be that little bit further away, but if you're after a very, very quick start, this is the best place to do it. So for Akon, yeah, a really annoying city, far away from everything, awkward to get to, but a really good starting zone that's going to get you through level 1 to 4 super fast. I'm going to have to go, simply because of that starting, I'm going to have to put it in B. And because gnomes are awesome. And anyone who says otherwise is just wrong. Next up we have Arid, home of the Arid Knights, and it's kind of almost all by itself on the tiny continent of Odus. It's a city that's split up into 2 zones, which is fairly common with classic era zones. I guess they wanted to keep the geographic area small so they could pack more in. And it's kind of set around 2 big landmarks in my opinion. One is the palace and the other is the library. On a classic server though, it really struggles with being quite isolated. There's not a lot of places that you can easily find that are accessible, and it's kind of a shame that on a TLP that even the Warrens or Stoneborough Mountains aren't in there to give a little bit more of something to do in this area. And especially so since they removed the main reason people used to come here, and that was the mail quest, which got quickly removed on Mischief server. Having said that, you know, it's good when you're in that initial leveling in Classic because of its proximity to the hull once it's opened, so it's fairly good for that. You can always quickly get back. But other than that, that's kind of it for Arid. The newbie area is Toxula Forest, which you'll see right here. It's the revamped version of Tox that we get, which came with the Buried Sea expansion. And in general, I find the revamped versions better than the originals or the cities with original zones, because to me it seems like the mob density is a lot higher in these zones and you will level basically quicker because there are more mobs around. And if you're leveling here, you're kind of concentrating all across this kind of upper area, and this is where you'll find the low level mobs. So Arid, a very kind of standard city that's far away from everything that is useful, maybe except the hall, and sometimes that's a good thing when you're starting on TLP because there's going to be fewer people around, which means more mobs for you. But having said that, it's still a problem that I can't get past, so Arid for me is a C. Belwyth, home of the High Elves, which is again a nice compact city. I like compact cities that I don't have to run around in forever, that I can get to everything that I want to get to fairly quickly. The one annoying thing, which was unique, oh look at it, a bit of broken texture there. The one thing that was unique to this zone when it came out in '99 was that kind of teleporter system to get to the kind of casters guild. And it is split up into two zones, and when you come into this zone, there is just pretty much the central part, and that's kind of really into it. I always like this tile floor as well. It's pretty cool. Everything's kind of centered around this dead tree in the middle. No real problems with the city itself. It's, like I said, it's compact, it's neat, it's easy to get around, it's easy to navigate. The one problem I do have with it though is its leveling area. You come out from this gorgeous castle and really cool city. It's an old zone, mob density is really low, and this is it. This is all you've got to kind of fight with, so you're going to be squabbling with other people for mobs for a good while. But I always like that castle. What an awesome view that is. So Felwyth, this is kind of it's a tough one, because on one hand it's really close to Crushbone, it's really close to Mistmore, you've got the Wizard Spires that are right there, it's fairly easy to get to something like Kedge Keep from as well, it's not too much of a run. And the leveling, that initial newbie zone though, kind of does, it's not good, but I still like the city and I like that it's compact. It's just like that initial level is going to be fairly slow with the limited amount of mobs that you have. Oh, where do we put Felwyth? I can't put it above Akon, it has to be a B. Oh dear. Oh dear, Daybreak, what did you do to Freeport? Yeah, unfortunately on the TLPs we get this Freeport. There wasn't much wrong with the old one, and then they did this, which is just a very uninspiring palette. There's just a ton of rooms and space and buildings that just aren't used. Everything's just way too big. There's just been this steaming pile that's been on the floor for who knows since they revamped it. It is just an unfortunate zone all over, and I do not like coming here. I don't like navigating it, I don't like running around it. Having said that though, it does have a great newbie area because it's got two. It's got one in East Freeport and one in West Freeport. Reminder, there's no more any longer any North Freeport. This is a really good newbie yard because it's very populated. If you're quick off the draw, you can get the spot for like the instant respawn skeleton and instant respawn orc as well. You will level up fairly fast here. Having said that, a lot of people make humans, so that's something to be wary of. And it's always nice to have merchants nearby as well. But yeah, I struggle with this because it's such a horrible city to start in and play up. So Freeport, you have a fantastic newbie area. You're kind of in the middle. You've got the tunnel right there. It's a really good origin spot to get to everywhere because the tunnel to sell is right there, and you should be higher. If it was the old Freeport, you'd probably be right up here, as long as you kept that newbie yard. But I truly dislike the design of this revamp. It's everything that you shouldn't do in a revamp to a city, and I don't think its proximity to the tunnel and its newbie yard gets it higher. I'm so sorry Freeport, but yeah, what a horrible revamp. Having said that, you know, Freeport is a good origin spot, and it is a really good initial leveling spot as well with those super populated newbie zones. For the trolls, you start in Grob, and the best thing about Grob is it's kind of like the only place you can really do alchemy. And that's pretty much about the best thing to it. It's kind of a circular zone. They don't like dwarfs. They appear to chop them up and eat them, like this carver here. But really, other than that, it's not really a zone I've played a lot in, other than to come and do alchemy when I've had a troll character, and that's it. Really like this shaman guild with the blood pool. And, you know, there's a few cool things, but that's kind of about it. The newbie zone, however, is probably one of the worst, and that is because, well, it's an old zone, but also the inclusion of water. Water in these kind of zones can do really funny things with mobs and line of sight, and if you're out of the water trying to hit something in the water, it's just not going to work. It creates all kinds of problems. And I don't really know why. It never used to be like that, I don't think, many years ago, but, you know, coding change and whatnot, it's created a bit of a problem. It is super populated. The mushroom men that are wandering around, I think, have social aggro, as do the snakes. So if you engage a snake, you'll get 1 million onto you within a couple of seconds. If I was going anywhere playing as a troll, I would get out of Innerfall and get over to the Theorot. So, Grob. It has one of my favourite things, a nice compact city, but the city has water in that you have to jump over, and it's a pain if you fall in. And the newbie zone is just awful. Don't level there, grow to Theorot if you're making a troll. One of the best things, it's a great origin for Lower Guck. Once you're past it though, it's kind of lost its usefulness. Maybe some benefit as well when you hit Eldon, because there's a couple of Eldon camps nearby. It's not as bad as Freeport because you can do alchemy there for the most part. There's all those vendors. So I'm going to put it in C. It's a low C though. Alas, the home of the barbarians. It's good for an origin to permafrost for Vox. That's it. And the negatives are kind of endless. One, this annoying boat and body of water to get in and out of the city. You're either waiting forever for that really small raft, or you're swimming. I think swimming is just faster. You've got an annoyingly long tunnel to get out, and then you get out and there's no mobs. You're just stuck in more annoyingly long tunnels, and to kind of get to where there's mobs, you gotta run for 5 minutes. So hope you don't get aggro off something high, or you get a bunch of stuff on you, because it's just the worst. To get out of here as well, you gotta go through Blackburrow, and a lot of people won't make that one. Probably not. It's very much a trial to get out and get towards Kinos, which is just better. So, you know, overall, sorry Hallis, not one for me. Hallis, D. Paladin. I love the dim. I think it is a criminally underused zone. I think it is a pretty well designed zone in terms of its kind of layout. You've got the two sides to it, so the class spawns are all fairly close. The exception to that is a couple of those in North Caledon, which are really far away and a bit of a run, but like the warrior guild's really close, and not many people make dwarfs, so you've got the zone pretty much all to yourself for the most part, and that goes for the newbie area too. For Caledon, it's close to Greater Feydark, you've got Wizard Spires there, you've got Crushbone, it's close to Druid Rings here, and it's close to Unrest, it's close to Kedge Keep for Finney, it's close to Freeport, especially so with the translocators. It's a really underused city and starting area, in my opinion. The noob area, yeah, it's not the best, but you know what, there's probably only going to be 5 other dwarves here, so you're not going to find it that bad of a time, and it may even be quicker just to get yourself to level 2, level 3, and then get yourself over to Freeport is probably what I would do. Calathan, one of only 2 zones in this list where you can do a little bit of leveling up in the same zone as well. It's not just strictly a city. Everyone remembers Calathan from back in the day. Everyone has fallen off these platforms a million times. Navigating it back in like 99 2000 was an absolute nightmare to remember which platform's up, which goes where's the bank, where's the ranger guild. That was tough. Nowadays it's not so bad to navigate with the find function, and that creates a glowing orb trail that's easy for you. I've always wondered how many people like bought EverQuest and made an elf, and the very first thing they did was fall off one of these platforms and die, and then just immediately quit the game and never open it again. I've always wondered how many people probably did that, and I probably wager a bet that it's probably not an insignificant number. It's a fun little city. I'm nothing bad really to say about it. The newbie area is right here. It's not great, it's not terrible. The main problem with Greater Feydark is you've got wood elves, you've got half elves, you've got high elves, you've got gnomes, and you'll probably have a few dwarfs wandering in. That's a lot of people coming towards this zone, and it can't really support it. Thankfully the pick zones, it's not too bad, and then you've got Crushbone close by as well. It's a good place to get around because we've got the spires to the south as well, and it's not too far to the Druid Rings in Butcher Block. So Calathan, where are we gonna put Calathan? Well, Felwith is a B, and I kind of think that's right. Calathan gets a plus because it's all in the same zone as you're leveling, and that's good too. It just has too many races coming towards it. It doesn't have the best newbie zone, and if you want to get around it, you always have to use the find function. I still do for the most part. I have to use the find function even to find the bank. So I'm gonna go with B for Calathan. Home of the Dark Elves, Neriak is next. And a lot of people are going to tell me, TBC, Neriak sucks because it's 3 zones. And that is a down point to Neriak, for sure. But it's like the only down point that I have for Neriak. I really love this zone. I think the aesthetic of it and the design of it is fantastic. It's got a lot happening inside. It's got all these glowing things, which back in the day I thought was so cool and hadn't seen anything like it in the past. I used to be scared to run through it in case it kind of zapped me. Neriak is kind of close to everything that you want to be. Neriak is close to. It's close to the tunnel for selling. That's great. It has a decent leveling area in Nectulos. It probably isn't the fastest 1 to 4, but it's definitely up there, and it certainly has a very fast 4 to 10. It's also good because it is close to Lavastorm, and Lavastorm's really an underused leveling zone, especially because it is a revamp, and it's good because it is also close to Sol A and Sol B, and Sol B will use a lot for Nagi, so you can always origin, and yeah, it's just a fantastic zone all around. Honestly, I rave about Neriak. I'll be making Dark Elves. And that's another problem as well, is a lot of people make Dark Elves. That makes Nick Tulos busy, and like I said, it's not the best start early on, but if you can get your group together and get through it and get past everyone else, you're in for, you know, a fairly decent time in Neriak. So Neriak, I've already said loads of good stuff about it. I'm not going to repeat it, but for me, S tier every single day of the week. I think it is the best starting city in EverQuest during Classic. Orgok, home of the ogres, is a bit of a funny one, to be honest. It's not a zone that I've spent a lot of time in the past. About the only time I have come here is to kill the bouncers for fine steel to farm some plat during low times. It's got this really annoying tunnel that's really annoying to get around to the main area of the city. It's also got those tunnels off to the left. That's probably the worst aspect of it for me. As I've said, I like cities that are nice and compact, and I don't have to do all this running around to be able to see and get to places. Yeah, that's about all I've got to say on it. Not a lot. Its newbie area though is actually pretty decent for an old zone. There's a lot of mobs kind of off towards the Innerful Swamp, in that northeast area is generally the area that you haunt around the Druid Rings. Loads of level 1s and level 2s, which is why I recommend for all trolls just to skip your zone and come here to level, because it's so much better. It's close to the plane of fear as well, so when your guild's going there, you've got an advantage. You can just origin and you're right there. It's close to Classic Fool, I guess, too. Not that anyone really goes there all that much in Classic because it's a very annoying zone. Yeah, it's a difficult one to place for that reason. Alright, Orgok. I have to rate it higher than Grob. I know that, because Grob I really dislike and it has water, and we don't have any of those problems with Orgok. But it has that really annoying tunnel that just takes forever to run around as an ogre to get to, you know, somebody to get to your guild master, or you're going in those really annoying like tunnels to the side. It's just a very standard city. There's not too much. That it's not Kaladin awesome, and it's definitely not Neriak, but it's better than Grob, so I'm happy with a B. Hain Eel, probably one of the least used cities in the game. Very few people have many reasons to come here. Maybe if you're selling and you're evil after been adventuring in the hole, or you're one of the 5 erudite Shadow Knights on the server. I'll tell a lie, there might be 10. It's just an awkward zone, lots of doors. It reminds you very much of the hole. It's exactly the same design as the hole. Has an annoying lift that you need a key for. It's close to the hole, that's good. But yeah, that's basically about it. Don't fall in that hole though. You're not in for a good time if you do. The newbie area though is really good, and it's actually one of the probably the most policed newbie areas in the game, because a lot of people like to come here with bards to farm bone chips, right? And the GMs crack down on that, especially if they're unattended gameplay. It's actually a nice little private newbie area. It's pretty open space, pretty big, and for that is why I think it's not actually that bad. It's better than Eridin in my opinion. Exclusively used by erudite Shadow Knights and Necromancers. Maybe I was a little bit harsh in Eridin, because I always forget about Kera Isle, and that's an underused leveling zone. But yeah, Peniel, so few people go there, so few people have a reason to go there. It's got a key as well to get into, and that's annoying. So yeah, I'm comfortable with C on that one. Rivervale, home to the Halflings. I've got a little bit of a soft spot for this zone. I love the music. I think everybody likes the music. It's a really cheery tone, and it's really compact, and that's definitely a mark on my book. It has its own leveling zone pretty much too, and that is Misty Thicket. and that's a decent leveling zone as well, in my opinion. The only issue with Rivervale is, of course, Kithakor Forest, which turns into an undead zone at night, so you can't really use that zone. And if you're low level, you run into commons, you're fairly just beelining it straight to the zone line, or you're sticking to the wall and hoping that a skeleton doesn't aggro you. Misty Thicket is also a nice revamp zone, and you get it all to yourself. Like, no other races coming here. It's exclusively for you halflings, because nobody else is going to run here. So yeah, it's a nice little low zone, in my opinion. Alrighty, so Rivervale, like I said, I do like it. It's better than Orgok for sure. It's better than Felwith and Calathon. You get your own newbie area, you get Misty Thicket all to yourself. The only downside is that one through Kithakor, but that's a small one. Yeah, I think that's a solid A. Kinos, and that's what I'm sticking with. Fun little zone on the west coast of Antonica, and for me, I can tell the devs put a lot of time in this zone to get it looking exactly how they wanted it to, exactly how they envisioned it in their D&D campaigns or wherever else. I like the aesthetic, I like the design. Yeah, it's split into two, but it feels like a busy city, even if there's not a lot of NPCs, even if it's not modern, right? There's all kinds of different buildings everywhere. It definitely feels like a crowded city, and I like that. I like that design. What I don't like is the location. I don't know, the west coast of Antonica has always felt to me like it was half done, like there isn't enough to do in those vast spaces of the Karanas. I always have to use the map to get around Kinos because I don't come here all that often, but I do love it. I think it's a really nice zone, and it's a nice zone to start in as well. There's usually a bunch of people running around in Kinos. Not everybody starts in Freeport. Kinos is still a decent option as well. You've got your own newbie area to the north with the famous Fippy Dark Portals running through, and you've got the catacombs as well if you want something a little bit different down in the aqueducts. So there's a little bit of variety to level in. I think it's a really fun zone. It's a really nice zone. The newbie zone area is pretty dense too, which is good, especially for an older zone. That's a nice thing to see. The only negative will come when it's your origin, and that's a long way to go to get to Freeport if you're not a class that can gate or has a bind nearby, and that first time you do it, that run, it's a long one. Alrighty, so where are we going to put Kinos? I like Kinos. It's a fun zone. It looks fantastic. It's a great city. You've got your own little newbie area to level in. The only downside is its location. Other than that, it's fantastic. And the location is not a big deal until a little bit later. Just for the aesthetic model, I think I'm going with A. Shorefall Glade, the one that everyone always forgets about, but it's basically Kinos for Rangers and Druids. I come here when I'm on my way to kill Vox. That's about the only time I've ever used it. It's not great for starting in because there's just not a lot nearby. You're probably better off running down to Kinos. It's a good origin if you want to check on Pizgin, the little gnome who drops the GBS. And it has a very long, annoying tunnel. Yeah, that's about all I've got to say about Shorefall. Don't attack any animals in there. You won't make any friends if you do. Shorefall. Yeah. Is it as bad as Hallis? No. But not by much, I guess. Is it as ugly as Freeport? No. I'm going to have to put it therefore in C. It's a nice little flavour zone, but that's kind of about it. Alright everyone, that's my tier list for the starting cities in Classic Everquest, like we will have on the upcoming Jelinek server. Neriak number 1 for me, love that zone. I think it's a fantastic place to start. It's close to everything, and I am going to be rolling a couple of Dark Elves probably on Jelinek. Let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree with me. A lot of people I'm sure have some opinions and I'll be interested to hear them. Have I made any glaring errors, or do you really like starting Eredin? Is there like a secret bit that I didn't know about when I made this? Let me know in the comments down below. Jelinek is still a couple of weeks out, so still got a lot more videos to come as we gear up to Ord's release. So if you've liked watching this video and you haven't done so already, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me continue to grow this channel and to keep making out content for you. Other than that, I will include a link to this tier ranking in the comments below, so feel free to do it for yourself. And I am running a guild on Jelinek. If you're a PST player or a late night East Coaster, I guess we'll be doing some raiding at 8:30 PM Pacific. So if that works for you, the Discord link below will take you to our guild Discord and you get to meet everyone. We've got a really good bunch of people going already. Other than that, the other links as usual below: Discord, Twitch, Twitter, Patreon, all that kind of good stuff. And as always, I am the Brit Canuck, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.